Right now, roughly 1 in 5 adults lives with an anxiety disorder. Hunter-gatherer groups studied by anthropologists show almost none. Not a lower rate, almost none. That's not a coincidence, and it's not because their lives were easier. It's because their brains were never asked to process the number of threats yours processes every single day. Think about that for a second. These were people who faced lions, starvation, childbirth without medicine, real, immediate, physical danger, constantly. And yet, generation after generation, researchers who lived among them recorded the same thing. Calm, steady, present. Somehow, the humans with the most to fear were the least anxious people on Earth. So what did they know that we don't? Let's start with what anxiety actually is, not what it feels like, what it's for. Your amygdala, the small almond-shaped structure buried in your brain, has one job: detect danger, react fast. It doesn't wait for you to think things through. The moment it senses a threat, it floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate spikes, your muscles tense, your senses sharpen. This system is ancient. It's also brilliant. It kept your ancestors alive through 300,000 years of genuine physical danger. Here's the problem. Your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a predator and a Slack notification. It was built for one kind of threat: immediate, physical, solvable through action. See a lion, run or fight, and within minutes, it's over. Your body returns to baseline. That's how the system was designed to work. Threat, response, resolution, rest. Modern life broke the last step. In 1967, physiologist Hans Selye described something he called the general adaptation syndrome. He found that stress itself wasn't the problem. Unresolved stress was. When a threat has a clear beginning and a clear end, the body handles it fine. But when a threat lingers with no resolution in sight, the body stays flooded with stress hormones indefinitely. Selye called this the exhaustion phase, and it's where chronic anxiety lived. Now compare that to how hunter-gatherers actually lived. Anthropologist Frank Marlowe, who spent decades studying the Hadza of Tanzania, documented something researchers kept finding across dozens of similar groups. Their stress was almost entirely acute. A predator nearby, a storm coming, a conflict in camp. Sharp, short bursts of danger that resolved within hours, sometimes minutes. Then it was over. The body reset. No lingering thread of worry stretched out over weeks. Your body was built for that rhythm. Spike, resolve, rest. Spike, resolve, rest. Now think about your own week. A deadline that doesn't end when you leave the office, because it's still in your inbox at 11 p.m. A conflict with a coworker that isn't resolved in an hour, but replayed in your head for 3 days. A financial worry that doesn't have a clear resolution point at all, just a slow, permanent hum in the background of your life. There is no lion to run from and defeat. There's just the notification, again tomorrow. Let's walk through what actually happens in your body during one of those moments. Say you send a message to someone important, and they don't respond for 6 hours. To your rational mind, nothing has happened. No information exists either way. But your amygdala doesn't deal in absence of information. It deals in threat detection. And silence, to an ancient nervous system, has always meant one thing. Something is wrong, so it fires anyway. Cortisol rises. Your attention narrows. You check your phone every few minutes, a modern version of scanning the horizon for movement. Except there's no horizon to scan. There's just a screen, refusing to change. Your ancestors never had to sit with 6 hours of pure, actionless uncertainty. A threat showed itself, or it didn't. You never had to fight a silence. In 2004, researchers at UCLA studied something called allostatic load, the cumulative wear on your body from chronic, low-grade stress that never fully resolves. They measured cortisol, blood pressure, inflammation markers, and metabolic function across hundreds of participants over time. What they found was that the body doesn't distinguish much between a genuine emergency and a repeated, low-grade one. The difference is that a genuine emergency ends. A repeated low-grade one doesn't. People carrying high allostatic loads showed elevated inflammation, weakened immune function, and significantly higher rates of anxiety disorders, along with higher risk for heart disease and early cognitive decline. The body was reacting exactly the way it was designed to react. The problem was that the threat never ended long enough for the system to power down. Your ancestors' stress system had an off switch. Ours is stuck in the on position. But there's a second piece to this, and it might be even bigger than the first. In 1938, anthropologist Ruth Benedict wrote about something she noticed across nearly every hunter-gatherer society she studied. She called it a high synergy culture, one where individual survival and group survival were the same thing. If the camp thrived, you thrived. If you thrived, the camp thrived. Compare that to modern life, where success is almost always framed as individual. Your career, your bank account, your goals. You are, in a very real sense, alone in your own survival. In 2018, psychologist Julianne Holt-Lunstad published a review of over 300,000 participants and found that chronic loneliness carries a mortality risk comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Your body treats social isolation as a literal survival threat because for most of human history, it was one. Being cast out of the group didn't mean loneliness, it meant death. A hunter-gatherer camp of 25 to 30 people meant you were never actually alone with a threat. If danger came, there were dozens of eyes, dozens of hands, dozens of bodies between you and it. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner documented something telling in her research with the Jew/Huansi. Hours of casual conversation happened every single day. Much of it functioned as constant, low-level reassurance. Who's where? Who's safe? Who's watching out for whom? That constant social contact wasn't just companionship. It was a nervous system regulator. In 2003, researchers found that simply holding the hand of someone you trust during a stressful event measurably lowers activity in the amygdala. Ancient humans were almost never physically alone. Most modern humans spend most of their day that way, even in a crowded city, even in an open office, even surrounded by people they technically know. Your nervous system doesn't register presence. It registers connection. And connection has quietly become rare. There's a third thread here, and it's the one most people miss entirely. Ancient humans had almost no uncertainty about the near future. Their world was small, familiar, and repetitive. The same camp, the same 25 faces, the same rhythms of season, hunt, and harvest. Predictability, even amid real danger, kept the brain calibrated. It knew what tomorrow would roughly look like. Modern life is the opposite of that. Endless novelty, endless choice, endless uncertainty about jobs, relationships, money, the news, the state of the world. In 2011, researchers at University College London found that uncertainty itself, independent of the actual outcome, activates the same threat response circuitry as a direct physical danger. Not knowing what happens next is, to your amygdala, indistinguishable from danger itself. Your ancestors faced predictable danger. You face unpredictable everything. So if you put these three pieces together, the picture gets clear fast. Threats that never resolve. Isolation your body reads as mortal danger. Uncertainty your brain can't distinguish from an actual predator. None of these things existed in the environment your nervous system evolved to handle. All three of them define modern life almost completely. This isn't a personal failure. It was never a willpower problem or a character flaw or something broken inside you specifically. It's a 300,000-year-old alarm system doing exactly what it was built to do in an environment it was never designed for. Now, it would be too simple to say hunter-gatherer life was some kind of anxiety-free paradise. It wasn't. These were people who buried children, who faced starvation some seasons, who lost people they loved to violence and disease. Real fear existed. Real grief existed. Nobody is arguing they lived free of hardship, but their hardship had a shape to it. It arrived, it demanded something specific of them, and then, one way or another, it ended. A hunt failed, and they grieved the hunger and tried again tomorrow. A storm came, and they weathered it inside a shelter surrounded by people they'd known their whole lives. Even death, the heaviest thing a human can carry, arrived inside a community built to hold it together, with rituals, with company, with grief shared, rather than grief endured alone at 2 a.m. with a phone as the only witness. Ours comes as a low, permanent hum, unresolved, often faced alone, inside a world that changes faster than any human nervous system was built to track. So the next time your chest tightens over an email that technically isn't dangerous at all, that's not your body malfunctioning. That's a system built across 300,000 years, doing its job in a world it doesn't recognize. Somewhere underneath the alert you're feeling right now is the same alarm that once meant a lion was near. It's just going off at the wrong target. Maybe the goal was never to silence it. Maybe it's just to finally understand what it's actually trying to tell you.